what brought about your resignation?
Okay. You ready? I think this problem goes back to last spring and early summer when the Election Commission and the Mayor's office disagreed about the budget for the Election Commission. There was about $400,000 that we had asked for to transfer 12 workers from part-time status to full-time status. And it really wasn't a transfer of additional money, it was just how the money was allocated. When we requested it and made that allocation, the money was actually removed from the part-time budget but not added to the full-time budget. So that's the problem we had to address. We could never convince the Mayor's office that we were correct. And so we went directly to the Metro Council and explained to them what the problem was, and they understood it and granted us a $200,000 increase in the budget last year and a promise for $200,000 more in a supplement budget this spring. And that was fine. That was a compromise we arrived at. Apparently, we irritated some people by doing that. And about 3 weeks ago, an investigative reporter asked for copies of credit card charges by Commissioner or Administrator Kent Wall. And we complied with that. Over the 2+ years he's been there, we gave him a copy of every monthly statement. We don't even have the statements. We had to go back to Metro to get those from whatever department actually pays the bills. But we got it and gave it to her. Of the 170+ charges on it, she centered in on about 25 charges and asked us to provide documentation to those charges, which we did. Very quickly, as a matter of fact. The request was made on Tuesday afternoon. We had it to her by Thursday. Then we agreed to a sit-down meeting with her to go over every one of those charges. There were about 25. And we spent about an hour going over those charges with her. There were two in particular that she singled out. One was a $600 charge for framing a print. The print was of the Metro Councilmatic districts, which hangs in the wall of the Election Commission. That sounds high, but it was almost 4 feet by 4 feet, and it had to be custom framed, and that's expensive. Could we have gone to Walmart and bought a cheap frame? No, you can't get in that size. Could we have put it up with 4 thumbtacks? Yeah, probably so, but that's not what we think the people of Nashville, the voters, the politicians that have to come and pick up their qualifying petitions and all deserve. So we spent the money. There was another charge of about $125 where Mr. Wall bought my dinner one night at a local restaurant. It was on June 30th after we had gone through all the budget hearings and the new physical budget was adopted July 1st. And I had put in an enormous amount of extra time going to committee meetings and meeting before the council and those things. And Mr. Wall said, the least we can do for you is buy you dinner. And that was $125. It was an expensive dinner, but I accepted. Other than that, all the charges were basically for lunches, and they were lunches where Mr. Wall recruited or was recruiting poll workers, recruiting people to perhaps be employees. We have poll workers, the senior poll workers that really do a good job and know their job. We use them to train other poll workers. And so it was taking these people out to lunch to recruit them, which is a business lunch it's customary to pay for them. Well, there was nothing on there that was an improper charge. We went over with her the Metro procurement policy and rules relating to credit cards. There were no violations of that. We went over with her the fact that every charge was approved by the Chief Financial Officer for the Election Commission, and then they're submitted to the Metro, I think it's Department of Treasury, that actually reviews and pays the bill. We don't do that ourselves. So all of those reviewed and approved all the charges. I think this is was a ploy to discredit the Election Commission now that we're going into budget hearings for the 2017 budget. There were specific requests this reporter made that used terminology that nobody would be accustomed to except someone that was intimately involved in Metro finance. You just don't ask a question dealing with that term unless somebody's told you to ask for it. So we pretty well knew that this was attempting to be a setup. She had asked me repeatedly for an on-camera interview, which I declined. After the meeting, she said, I have other people that I've interviewed, and if you want your side heard, you need to go on camera, which indicated to me that she had people that were going to be critical of the Election Commission. And after much thought, I agreed to it on certain conditions. I would not agree to a rambling interview where she asked any questions. I wanted either a list of the questions she was going to ask, or what we ultimately agreed upon was that she would ask a question, I would give a response on behalf of the Election Commission, and that would be it. Well, when the cameras went on, that wasn't what happened. She asked the question, I gave the response. She asked me another question. I answered that question. When she presented a third question, I said, no, that's it. The interview's over with. As I was walking off, she asked me a fourth question, and again I told her the interview was off. After I had walked maybe 7 or 8 feet from where I was standing, and had my back to her, she made a comment to me personally that had nothing to do with the subject matter of the report. It was personally directed toward me. I couldn't believe she did it, and I lost my composure at that point in time, and I turned around and said, you bitch, for making a comment like that to me. Apparently that's not appropriate. I know a lot of people that have used that term in the same circumstances. I meant it. When I said it, it best described my feelings toward her at that time. Since then, I have not changed my opinion.
Can you tell